Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation. Today we're going to talk about classroom interaction and participation. And my reference is edX. And also my introduction. Here are my sources, the MOOC. First of all, I want to talk about participant structures. Participant structures are the ways classroom talk is organized. Example, whole class lecture, teacher-led review, small group work, and independent work. These structures strongly influence who gets to speak, how often they speak, and what kinds of language are considered appropriate. And we have mapping participation, which called turn taking. In here, we have like different participant structures shape not only who participates in classroom, but also how interaction unfolds. Uh, how interaction unfolds within these structures. To better understand these effects, we have participation mapping, like a method for visually tracking turns between the teacher and students during a classroom event. And the first step in mapping participation is identifying the sequence of teacher-student turns. Each participant structure tends to produce a distinctive interaction pattern. In a teacher-fronted lecture, the pattern is dominated like teacher, 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 student, teacher, like with only brief, short student interruptions. And in a teacher-led review session, interaction is like teacher, student, teacher, student, though the teacher still controls the floor. Um, a transcript from uh, a high school Hamnet review illustrates this pattern. Although multiple turns occur, only two students participate while the rest remain silent. Like labeling students individually. For example, even the structure seems interactive, only a few students are talking. So it's still limited and not inclusive. This is what I mean. And participation mapping uh, makes it visible, like who speaks and who doesn't, and how much talk is taken by teachers versus students, and how different structures enable or restrict student engagement. Silent participation and listening roles. We said like while mapping turn taking highlights who speaks in the classroom, it doesn't capture the role of silent participant. Like this section says that listening is also a form of participation, and that listening roles vary across participant structures. And in teacher-fronted activities such as lectures, silent students are expected to listen attentively. And we have sociologist Erving Goffman here, and he refers these students as ratified listeners, like participants who are officially recognized as part of the interaction, even if they don't speak. And these listeners, visibly engaged or not, can still influence the flow and direction of classroom talk. And in contrast, individuals who listen without being officially part of the interaction called um, unratified listeners. For example, someone outside the classroom listening, someone outside the classroom listening in would be unratified, and this type of listening also occurs in classrooms, particularly like especially during small group work, where the teacher often listens without being the intended audience. And he also like Goffman further distinguishes unrectified listeners as overhearers, like those who accidentally listen in, accidental, and eavesdroppers, those who intentionally listen in, they're intentional. Yeah, this. And we have underlife here. What is underlife? Underlife means unofficial classroom talk. Even when students and teachers are silent in the official classroom discussion, they may still be active and influential participants. Classrooms often contain multiple layers of talk, actually, multiple layers of talk happening at the same time, while one layer consists of the official teacher-led interaction, teacher-student exchanges. Another consists of unofficial student talk. It occurs simultaneously, and sociologist Goffman calls this unofficial layer underlife. And underlife includes quiet peer conversations, note passing, as I said, whispered peer talk, jokes, side debates, quiet problem solving, notes, gestures, texting, um, and some like although underlife can be unsettling for new teachers, it can also serve as a powerful bridge between school sanctioned knowledge and students' lived experiences. Like it enriching classroom dialogue and making learning more relevant and more inclusive. And we have individual communicative repertoires here. This says each participant brings a unique repertoire, including peer language versus school language, emotional versus factual language, personal pronouns, nonverbal cues, multiple languages. Um, in classroom, students constantly navigate a dual audience, peers and teacher. Like this affects when they use peer language versus school language. An example of a student correcting himself from trained youths to trained people. It shows that how students monitor their language in response to teacher directed norms and participant structures uh, because of that strongly influence which kinds of language are acceptable. And also we have emotional and factual language, like uh, you know sometimes emotional language is often suppressed, and emotional language includes explicit feeling words, for example love, hates, personal involvement. Yeah. And also we have oh, I talked about this, but still, emotional versus factual language. Like classrooms often privilege factual, objective language, passive voice, numbers, and few personal pronouns. But emotional language drives curiosity, fuels motivation, and increases engagement, as I said before. Personal pronouns and engagement. Using personal pronouns, we, you, are humanizes abstract content. Example, where do dreams come from? How do dreams get into our heads? Like, it makes relevant, like, makes engaging, you know? Uh, personal personal pronouns a powerful tool for increasing engagement. Framing abstract or scientific questions personally, as we said, where do dreams come from, blah blah, leads to greater student participation. And research shows that even professional scientists personalize complex ideas such as their physicists talking about molecules. Uh, and this is so effective. And we have a Shakespeare review session here. Okay. Um, We have participant structure. The participant structure is teacher-fronted whole class review. Like the teacher controls the topic, initiates turns with questions, evaluates responses, and steers the discussion. And students respond when selected or when they self-select briefly. And we have participation patterns here. And it is like the participation pattern follows a classic teacher student sequence, but with very limited student distribution. And the teacher initiates nearly all turns, and only one or two students contribute verbally, and many students remain silent throughout. And this actually shows that while structure appears interactive, participation is limited here, only a few person. And we have ratified and unratified participants here. Ratified participants are like the teacher and the two students who speak, whose contributions are acknowledged and evaluated. And unratified participants, silent students uh, who are often expected to listen but do not speak. And these students may still be engaged through listening or under live talk, as we mentioned before, but they're not granted speaking rights in this interaction. And the teacher is the primary ratifier of participation, and decides whose talk becomes part of the official session. And we have peer language, for example, like stuff like that, and conversational phrasing. This is peer-oriented speech, and we have teacher school language, like academic language, and we have emotional language. Actually, we need to minimal emotional language at school. The focus is on summarizing content rather than expressing feelings or personal reactions. And we have limited personalization, like limited and mostly instructional. For example, like you shouldn't really be talking as much as you are listening. It's used to generalize moral advice rather than personalize the content. And we have multiple languages. We didn't mention it here, but multiple languages mean only one language is used. There is no visible multilingual repertoire in this interaction. And now we're going to talk about classroom participation is not just about who talks the most. It's shaped by structures, listening roles, underlife, emotional and linguistic choices, individual repertoires. Language can be constrained by participant structures, but it can also reshape them. And noticing this gives teachers tools to design classrooms that are more inclusive, engaging, and responsive to students' lives. This is the important part. Thank you so much for listening to me. That was all. See you in the next weeks. Bye.